In the movie's opening scene, a woman whose name is Sejin is sleeping and looking for her husband. She finds him sitting weirdly in bed, claiming there is someone there. When she asks for more information, he falls back asleep. There is a sound outside, so she goes to check. She finds her husband's slipper, but the sound continues. She discovers their dog making the noise. The next morning, the couple seems very loving. The husband wakes Sejin up. We learn she is pregnant and working, while he has small roles in TV series. As she leaves, she asks their dog Pepper to look after the house. Sejin is supportive of her husband's dreams. When she leaves, she accidentally hits the neighbor lady's face with the door, causing her nose to bleed. She gives a gift as a compliment and mentions hearing strange noises from Monday to Sunday. The neighbor tells her to be careful. The husband picks up Sejin from work, teasing her about the neighbor's complaint. They head home together. They sit on the sofa, her husband practicing his lines. Sejin mentions he said the same dialogue yesterday. She starts worrying, but he reassures her. She compliments his acting skills. While he sleeps, she reads his lines, "Someone is in the building." She talks to him, asking if he still loves her despite her looks. She playfully slaps his cheek. He scratches it, she stops him. In the morning, she finds his face and hands covered in blood from scratching all night. She urges him to go to the hospital, but he refuses and goes to work. She finds blood on the floor, hears the dog whimpering, and discovers blood under the bed. She's stressed at work, researching sleep disorders. When she returns home, she finds her husband sitting in the dark with the dog. She realizes he's in trouble due to his face wound. He explains his role was cancelled because of it. She comforts him, he hands her a real estate book, saying he wants to leave acting. She encourages him to pursue his passion. He surprises her with a sweet donut. As she eats the donut and works, she worries that he might scratch himself again, so she puts the kitchen gloves on his hands to prevent any harm. While she continues working, her husband suddenly wakes up and walks around seemingly out of control. The woman tries to tell him to stop, but he doesn't listen. He goes to the kitchen, opens the fridge, and starts eating raw meat. When he tries to eat raw fish, she tries to stop him, but he doesn't listen, which makes her nauseous. He also drinks water vigorously and starts moving towards the bedroom. The dog, Pepper, starts barking at him, and he stares at Pepper as if he doesn't like him, then goes to the bedroom. As she follows her husband, he tries to jump out of the window. She tries to prevent danger and struggles to get him out of that situation. When he hits the ground, he regains consciousness and asks what happened. She asks him why he was trying to jump, and he is confused and disoriented. They confirm that they are going to the hospital the next day. The next morning, the woman secures all possible openings with steel clamps to keep her husband out of danger. The woman's mom also comes and gives her a visiting card of a black magic lady, but the woman refuses to take it. Her mom also gives her a magical word paper to get rid of negative spirits, but the woman also refuses, and her mom scolds her. The doctor explained to her husband about REM sleep behavior disorder, mentioning that it occurs due to an imbalance in neurons. He reassured them that it's not a critical issue. The doctor listed symptoms like walking in the middle of the night and talking incoherently, which the husband had already displayed. Sejin inquired about treatment with medication, to which the doctor confirmed. He provided instructions: remove dangerous items, avoid alcohol, change lifestyle, limit electronics, sleep before 10, and take medications regularly. They followed the advice, went to bed, and woke up fine the next morning. Sejin is relieved, went to feed her dog Pepper, but found it dead in the fridge. She then went into labor and gave birth to a beautiful baby. Her mother suggested divorce, but she refused, believing her husband's treatment would help. The mother mentioned seeking spiritual support if needed, but she declined. On their way home, the husband suggested staying in a nearby apartment to avoid causing trouble, but she insisted on facing the problem together. Upon entering the house, the husband immediately fixes the bell on the door. Sejin reads the instruction book that was attached to it, in order to wake up the guardian. They also have a bag that covers the entire body, making it impossible to move even an inch. The husband suggests Sejin take a nap, and when she wakes up and looks out the window, she sees the neighbor's puppy that resembles Pepper. Sejin goes to pet the puppy, clearly missing Pepper, and then looks at photos of him. She finds her husband sleeping and asks if he took his medicine. He mumbles a yes, but Sejin notices he didn't take it, so she inserts 2 tablets into his mouth. Later, she tries to sleep near the baby's cradle but can't. She wakes up multiple times to check on the baby, feeling uneasy. Eventually, she takes the baby to the bathroom and locks the door. Suddenly, she hears knocking and the door shaking, realizing her husband is trying to get in. Terrified, she peeks outside and sees him urinating on the baby's cradle. The next morning, they visit the doctor. The husband mentions he researched a more effective medicine, but the doctor advises against it. Sejin confesses she slept in the bathroom, but the doctor insists on following the current treatment. Frustrated, Sejin hits the doctor with an object. Back home, the husband promises to handle the situation. That night, he attempts to sleep in the car, but Sejin persuades him to come inside and adds more locks to the doors to prevent any disturbances. He enters the bedroom, and Sejin locks the door, sleeping with the baby in the hall. The next morning, her mom and the black magic lady visit the house. The black magic lady takes some instruments, a group of bells, and moves around the house, revealing that Sujin's husband has a spirit in his body while sleeping, with a damaged soul. She mentions Sejin living with 2 men, breaking hearts recently. To release the spirit, Sejin needs to know its name. Sejin doesn't reveal anyone's name. The black magic lady leaves a paper with magical words, advising Sejin to hide it in the living room and hall. Sejin lists the names of guys following her, checking social media, finding them alive. While the couple sleeps, Sejin asks her husband about the spirit. He reassures her, mentioning 2 men present. They discuss an old man from the neighborhood who had feelings for Sejin. The next morning, Sejin gives dog food to a neighbor, learning the old man was the neighbor's father, now deceased. Sejin asks her husband if he is the old man, receiving ambiguous responses. 1. Sejin held a knife close to her all night to protect her baby. When her husband woke up and asked her to open the door, she did so with red eyes, indicating she hadn't slept. He inquired about the magical words paper, questioning if she had watched him all night. After straightening the paper, he laid her in bed to sleep. When she woke up, it was already night, realizing she had slept all day. She asked her husband about the baby, but he remained silent. She approaches the baby cradle only to discover that the baby is missing. She hears the sound of the baby coming from outside the apartment, prompting her to follow it to the trash can area. As she delves deeper, she finds her baby at the bottom of the trash, causing her to wake up, realizing it was all just a dream. She returns to the baby's cradle, but the baby is still nowhere to be found. She becomes fearful that her husband may have placed the baby in the fridge, similar to what he did to Pepper. However, the baby is not in the fridge either. She notices a large vessel on the stove and opens it, finding it filled with water, which she empties out in search of her baby. Suddenly, her husband emerges from the restroom with the baby. Concerned about her hand, he retrieves ice from the fridge to cool it down. In a surprising turn of events, she strikes him on the head with the large vessel. When he regains consciousness, he finds himself tied up, with his wife holding a knife and demanding him to do as he pleases. She appears distressed, believing an old man is inhabiting her husband's body. As the situation escalates, her husband pleads for her to stop, claiming he is also losing his mind. Months later, her husband is discharged from the hospital, fully recovered. Doctor assures he is fully recovered and he inquiring about his wife. He learns she has been admitted to the hospital and getting discharged today. He shaves and brings a bouquet to visit her. Upon arriving at the hospital, he discovers she has left, leaving their baby with her mother. Returning home, he is met with strange looks from the son of the lady. As he enters the house, he finds it covered in magical words. When Sujin's husband walked into the room, she casually asked him to sit down. He inquired about her well-being, but she insisted he sit and noticed the bouquet he brought. She was delighted by the gesture and urged him to take a seat, but he claimed he was completely cured. Despite his protests, she raised her voice and began a presentation. The husband was taken aback by his wife's behavior, thinking she had gone mad. Sejin proceeded to explain that a week before October 25, a neighbor had complained about strange sounds coming from their house. She pointed out that the old man next door had died on October 8, and if a soul didn't move on within 10 days, it would become a ghost. By October 18, the old man had become a ghost and started causing trouble. The husband became frustrated and questioned whether Sejin believed he was possessed by spirits. She showed a video of people scratching themselves when possessed, indicating that it wasn't them, but the spirits within. She also mentioned that spirits consume raw meat for power, not the person themselves. Sejin revealed that the old man had killed their dog Pepper because he didn't like the sound of its footsteps, leading the husband to reluctantly agree. Despite his insistence that he was fully cured, Sejin continued to share her theories. The doctor has examined his entire body and found no irregular activities in the past months. She shows him a picture where, before undergoing treatment, she performed a ritual involving her husband being nude with magical words written on his back. She claims that due to those magical words, he haven't behaving strangely for the past few days, but it will only last for 50 days. Since it is the 49th day, the old man's soul will supposedly come and possess him. Despite thinking she is crazy, he admits he feels fully cured. As he tries to leave, she warns him that if the soul doesn't depart on the 50th day, it will stay with him forever. Ignoring her, he heads towards the door, prompting her to throw a wood at him, but he is wearing shoes and remains unharmed. Sejin questions her husband's decision to run away instead of facing their problems together. He changes his mind and sits on the sofa, asking her what she wants him to do. With only 15 minutes left until the 50th day, Sejin turns off the lights and whispers something in his ear. He goes to the fridge, where he sees their neighbor's dog that resembles Pepper, feeling nauseous and rushing to the toilet to vomit. There, he finds the neighbor lady with her mouth taped shut, confused and asking Sejin what is happening as she approaches with a drill machine. Sejin asked the lady to speak, but when the tape was removed from her mouth, she immediately addressed Sujin's husband, urging him to help. She spoke to Sujin's husband as if she was speaking to her dad, telling him that she will visit his grave with their grandson, and not to disrupt the family. Despite her requests, Sujin's husband remained unaware. Sejin then threatened to harm his daughter with a drill machine if he didn't leave. However, the drill machine suddenly stopped working. Sejin changed the battery. As the clock showed only 5 minutes left until the 50th day, Sejin began drilling the lady's head. Her husband's voice changes into an old man voice. Finally decided to leave, and the police were called by a neighbor's son is knocking now. Sejin is distracted now. The old man Sprit intervened, scolding her with harsh words and tells everyone is mad. He says a goodbye to his daughter and asked her to take care of her kid. Eventually, the old man's spirit left his body, and Sejin embraced him, ending the movie. I am uncertain whether the old man's spirit is real or if her husband is actually suffering from a sleeping disorder and is pretending to let the spirit go off order to make his wife believe that they are not in trouble anymore. Which seems he is using his acting abilities to convince his wife. Share your thoughts on comments.